Thanks very much. I'm going to give a very brief talk and then hand over to Rowan and Julian, who are going to talk specifically about two projects in our theme. So our research is really aimed around sustainable use of natural resources to enhance livelihoods and wellbeing of Indigenous and local communities, and our work's driven by a couple of sort of key research questions about how people can maintain a living from natural resources, how different types of natural resource management and governance can sustain and improve livelihoods, and how we can improve the social, cultural, economic and other wellbeing outcomes for local communities, making a living from natural resources and maintain environmental values at the same time. Nearly all our research is interdisciplinary, and we use a number of different analytical frameworks and mixed methods. Nearly all our projects have a qualitative and quantitative methodology, and a large focus on using participatory tools and approaches, and strong involvement of communities in that research. One of the frameworks we use quite a lot is the Sustainable Livelihoods framework. It's quite challenging at times because we work across a lot of different areas. We work in forests and fisheries and rural and international development and flora and fauna and catchments and non-timber forest products, and sometimes that can be quite challenging. And we also work quite widely across Northern Australia and a number of different countries in Southeast Asia and mainland Asia. Our group, which actually Andrew likes to call a socialist collective, is there's about 9 of us at the moment, and we all have come from different disciplinary backgrounds, which is actually a real benefit to our research to address what Bo referred to earlier as the wicked problems by trying to address a problem from a number of different angles. We work with a number of different universities, CGIAR groups such as Centre for International Forestry Research and the World Fish Centre, but some of our main partners at the moment are universities and governments, both at the national and district level in Indonesia, and particularly the University Nusa Cendana and Unho in Sulawesi. And of course the dozens and dozens of Indigenous and local communities that we work with in our projects. We currently have 7 PhD students. Ronju and Cami are working on forests and home gardens in Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. Pia and Francis are working on livelihoods and small-scale fisheries in Indonesia. Hannah and Penny, who's just started, both working on projects to do with artisanal mining. And Pup Chris, who's looking at catchments in West Timor. We've also had as many PhD students finished in the last 6 to 8 months, working on a whole range of projects in Australia and Southeast Asia, which is fantastic. We have a couple of sort of, areas that we work in. One of the main ones is the fisheries, aquaculture, livelihoods, particularly in Indonesia and East Timor. And we have a whole bunch of projects that myself and Dirk and Chris O'Brien and others are involved in. We had a very successful project on a regional exchange between community members from Indonesia, East Timor and ranger groups in Northern Australia with NAILSMA. And we've got a new project starting in a couple of months funded by Australian Centre for International Agricultural Research with Murdoch University, which is really exciting, and in development some socio-economic livelihood work, working with Lindsay in the area of blue carbon and mangroves in Indonesia, and a new PhD student that Lindsay and I will be co-supervising. We also have a suite of projects working on agricultural issues in Indonesia, and a number of projects that Penny Worm and Bronwyn Myers are leading. And we also have a number of new projects in development to work in Northern Australia, building on some social and economic impact assessment work we've done before, and working with Stephen's group and Menzies hopefully, and Julian's going to tell us about some new research into Kakadu plum shortly. So I'll just hand it over to Rowan.
Our current project investigating the impacts of artisanal and small-scale mining in East Indonesia, as far as I'm aware, is the largest research and capacity building project that CDU has had in Indonesia, and that's resulted from continuous on-ground engagement by myself and my colleague, Dr. Bronwyn Myers, over the last 12 years, building collaborations, which has led to this project. So we're working in southeast Sulawesi, and where we're focused on investigating the impacts of artisanal gold mining, and in Indonesian West Timor, the impacts of manganese mining. And they both have quite serious adverse environmental, social and public health impacts, but importantly, they also provide an opportunity for very poor people to improve their an alternative source of income and can positively develop community resilience. So it's a complex issue, so it's an interesting issue, and I guess our role through the research capacity building is to support pathways for minimising harm and promote the maximum benefits for the local people. So this project is running over 2.5 years. We received $1.2 million, and our main partners are the Universitas Cendana in Kupang and UHO in Kendari, Sulawesi. And we're running a whole range of activities, including cross-country visits, study tours, in-country capacity building, and a range of research activities. So we have 4 PhD students, the CDU students Natasha just mentioned, and through our partnership with ANU, there's a couple more students. This work is, this year is leading up to a significant symposium on the 28th of April, the Tuesday after next, where we have about 20 senior government and NGO leaders from Eastern Indonesia coming to CDU to talk about ASM issues and, I guess, build knowledge networks around how we can try and work together to improve the situation. Thank you.
So good afternoon everyone. I'm Julian Gorman. I'm a research fellow within RIEL, and I'm just going to quickly tell you about a project from my own backyard, which is looking at commercialising or commercially utilising an Australian native product, which is going to give some benefit to Aboriginal people. So the species we're focusing on is billy goat plum, Terminalia ferdinandiana, and it's got commercial potential because it's got these extraordinary chemical properties, very high levels of vitamin C and vitamin E, and as well as in the leaves and fruit, as well as antioxidant properties. It's endemic to Northern Australia, so it's found between Kimberley and the Gulf, and it's got quite a big demand from a big market demand. So there's a variety of it's been taken out. So there's a lot of market demand for the species already, but there's a few limitations to the supply of the fruit. It's currently there's fairly limited horticultural development of the species, and in meeting market demand, there's going to have to be quite a reliance on wild harvest. So there's quite a diverse range of research and development needs. There needs to be some work done on modelling and approaches, as well as there's a number of ecological questions and business-related research development questions, and as well as into the future when we start looking at cultivation, some horticultural and agronomic aspects. So CDU's got actually about 20 years of research related to ecology and livelihood opportunities from Kakadu plum, and Aboriginal people, in that time Aboriginal people have actually expressed quite a lot of interest in continued involvement in commercialisation of the species. And in RIEL, we're now part of a multidisciplinary team that's developing this enterprise and working towards the growth of the industry. And together we've submitted an expression to Grow North to expand the research and development, and included in this is a business partner that's putting money into it. We're also developing a PhD project to address some of the research issues around the wild harvest of Kakadu plum. So there's lots of benefits of growing this industry. There's literally hundreds of Aboriginal people who, in remote communities that are already involved in harvesting the species and will benefit from income generation and employment. And there's also there's physical and health benefits of people working on country through being able to access other bush food and exercise and cultural connectivity. So it's just a quick snapshot of what we're doing as a building up Plum of the Future.